Hello. How is everyone doing? That's I heard myself echoing in my drink. That's really kind of funny. So, hope you're all doing good today, and hope you are safe. And if you're in one of the places where it is super hot or flooding or anything else, I hope you are not hot or flooding. I hope you are safe and not dealing with heat stroke and all of that sort of stuff. I hope everyone is doing well, and I realize I have my wrong thing up, so I can't see your comments. Here we go. And let's see, we got everything going properly now, it looks like. Yes, awesome sauce. Monique says hello. Hello. So, yes, today is Wednesday. What is the date? Oh, right. What's the date? It's my 20th wedding anniversary. That's what the date is. It's July 9th. July 9th, 2025. Apparently, I was married July 9th, 2005. I always forget what the year was. Like, I remember how many years I've been married, but like I have to do the math to remember what year it actually was, which is really easy when it was 20 years ago because, yeah, so apparently it was 2005. I guess that makes sense since the kids were born in 2007, right? And they were born 2 years and 4 days after we got married. So yeah, my 20th wedding anniversary is today, and in 4 days is their twins' 18th birthday. So Kyla had her little birthday gathering yesterday. Vero is having his on Saturday. On Sunday, which is their actual birthday, is their cousin's birthday party. They have a cousin whose birthday is the 15th, but for what normally we have an arrangement that if whoever's birthday falls on the weekend gets to have the weekend party. But in this situation, there was something was going on with Doug's sister. And I think they're out of town this week. They get back Saturday night, so the only day they could do Evelyn's birthday party was Sunday. So anyway, yeah, so we're gonna actually celebrate, just the four of us. We're gonna celebrate the twins' birthday on Saturday. Since Sunday, which is their actual birthday, we have to go to Evelyn's birthday party. It's a week, man. Yeah. So yeah, let's see. We had on Monday, we had college conversations with the universities, with Kyla's university, and finding out about financial aid and stuff. On Tuesday, we had Kyla's birthday party. Today is mine and Doug's 20th anniversary. Tomorrow, I don't think Thursday or Friday have anything special going on. Maybe I can get some more work done. Saturday is Vero's birthday party, and Sunday is Evelyn's birthday party. And Monday, I get to breathe. So, Monique, happy anniversary. Yes. I don't think you meant to put a question mark there. I'm going with you didn't mean to put a question mark at the end of happy anniversary. And happy birthday, happy celebrations. Yes, thank you very much. Yeah, so for the anniversary, since we have 2 kids going to college this year, we are going to see the latest Jurassic Park movie and go to dinner. That's it. We're not doing presents or anything else. So yeah, there was some. I had some like cool ideas when we got married about some 20th anniversary big party or whatever. Little did I realize that 20th anniversary would be right when the kids were going off to college, and I had just recently, within the last year and a half, bought a new business, and yeah, no, there will be no renewal of vows big party this year. There's not even presents this year. It's dinner and a movie. But that's fine, because my favorite part about being married to Doug is actually spending time with him, so it totally works. All right, so I hope you all are doing well. We are at 12:05, which means there has been plenty of time for people to come on in and join us. Pardon me. So if you remember last week, I was finishing up, I believe, the white side of this pillow. And I said if you came to the sit and stitch that evening, I would be showing you how to make the inside of the pillow during the sit and stitch. I mean, like, our sit and stitch, the sit and stitch is not usually like a class or anything like that. It's a social event. Just like a sit and stitch, a local in-person one. But I was, they'll just be like, I'll explain the step, and then I'll do it, and everybody can chat, and it's not like it took that long. So we did that at the sit and stitch last week. So those of you who were there got to see me do it. And I thought I would just kind of explain a little bit about how it worked. So if you saw the thumbnail that goes to this live, you saw just the pillow insert. Do I have the, no, I put the fabric away. I know it doesn't look like I put things away, but really I do. I put the fabric away that I used, but you can kind of see it's like an off-white. It's just a muslin. You could use a sheet, you could use whatever fabric you have. All I did was I took, and this is how you can make a shaped pillow insert for any sort of knit, crochet pillow you have, all right? Remember that the knit and crochet, your stitching, it tends to stretch, right? And so if you don't make the pillow insert big enough, then what happens is as your knit or crochet starts to stretch, it starts to sag off the pillow, and then it just looks sad, right? So what I did was I took my my muslin, my fabric, and I laid it flat, okay, and I doubled it. So I would have two, because when you're making a pillow insert, you need a front and a back, and they're going to be the same, right? So I folded it in half, and I laid the two pieces of the pillow, the two crochet pieces of the pillow on top of each other to see if one of them had happened to turn out to become a little bit bigger than the other one. I mean, normally you would want your two pieces of your pillow to be exactly the same, but let's be honest, your gauge can change a little bit depending on if you're stressed or relaxed or having a drink while you're doing your crocheting or knitting or whatever. It can all kind of change a little bit. Not only that, but I have found that certain colors, not with this yarn, but with some yarns, not all, but with some yarns, certain colors, it seems like whatever dye they use will make the yarn stiffer, or like sometimes it feels like some of the colors are thicker, which I don't quite understand how that works. But sometimes, so if you have like different colors on the two sides, sometimes that will actually affect things. If one side is like pieced together different shapes and the other side is just a solid version of the shape, so the pattern is slightly different, sometimes things end up being a little bit different in size. All right, if they are, then you want to do the next step with whichever one is bigger. It shouldn't be a lot bigger. Like, the little bit of difference is fine. A lot of bit of difference is going to obviously make your pillow look a little wonky, unless there's some sort of purposefulness to it that will happen for a reason. But what I'm explaining to you now is basically making the insert for a shaped pillow where the shape is, when you lay it on the table, is flat. So not something, not like an animal that has a dimensional nose popping out in the front of it, or feet or whatever. Something that is flat, like we have two flat stars that we're sewing together, two flat hearts that you're sewing together. Those kind of ragdoll style dolls or animals where it's where your two pieces are the same. It's a flat shape that you stitch together and stuff. Okay, so that's what this is for, is that situation where you have two flat shapes. They're the same shape and they just get stitched together and stuffed. If it's something like this, where clearly the stuffing would be popping out of these holes, if I just stuffed this, right? or if it's going to be getting, if it's going to a little kid and it's going to be getting lots of like love and smushing, and you just want to make sure that the stuffing stays in and all of that sort of stuff, then this is what I like to do. You take one of those pieces, like I said, you have your fabric and you have it doubled, whatever your fabric is, old sheet, I used muslin, fabric that you bought at the store, whatever you're going to do, have your fabric doubled so that you're going to cut out both pieces at the same time. If one of your pieces of your pillow is slightly larger than the other, that's fine. Use the one that's slightly larger. Lay that piece on top of your fabric and then just trace around it, okay? And you can trace just like a tiny bit around it so you're not accidentally getting like a pencil line on your crochet. All right, so that what you're doing is you're tracing just a tiny bit on the outside of your crochet piece. That tiny bit is essentially, that line that you drew is essentially going to be your stitching line, okay, which means that your pillow is, your insert is going to be, you know, if you're doing it, I would say maybe like up to 1/8 of an inch away. So I have my, let's say I have my little piece of paper here. My piece, I have, this is my fabric, right? And I've got my fabric doubled laying on the table. All right. And then I put my little pillow on top of it. This is a little Studio Ghibli character dressed like Chewbacca. It's a sticker one of my kids gave me because I like Chewbacca and they like Studio Ghibli. So isn't that cute? All right, so let's say this was my pillow shape, okay? Then what I would do is I would trace like 1/8 of an inch around the actual shape, okay? Then what you want to do is you want to cut about 1/2 inch around that. And then you're going to sew it together on the line that you traced, leaving enough room so that you can stuff. So, you know, you'd start, if this were a lot bigger, right? You'd start like here, you'd sew all the way around on the traced line, and then you'd end up here leaving like 3 or 4 inches so that you can stuff your piece. Okay, so when I did this, I traced around my entire star about 1/8 of an inch larger than the actual crochet piece. All right. Um, Monique likes the sticker. So do I. It's really cute. Here, we'll show it a little closer for those of you with a small screen here. It's that little studio, what is his name, Todoroki? I think that's him, the little Studio Ghibli character, but he looks like Chewie from Star Wars. Because Kyla, my daughter, loves the Studio Ghibli movies, and I love Chewie. So it was just like the perfect little sticker. And it kind of, if you look at the shape of the sticker, does anybody realize what the shape of the sticker is? It's the Millennium Falcon. Isn't that awesome? I love it. Anyway, so you have your, I cut out my, I traced around the star, the crochet star, about 1/8 of an inch away from it. And then I cut about 1/2 inch around that. I took it over to my sewing machine, which you see back there, and I sewed it from like one point, and I went all the way around to like here. And then I just left this part open right here. Okay, then you turn your fabric so that all of the seams are on the inside and you still have this little opening, and then you stuff the crap out of that pillow. Okay, this is stuffed really tight, and you want to stuff it really tight because as it gets used, your stuffing, your fiberfill, whatever you have in here, is going to start to get compressed and everything. So I find that if I stuff them really tight, then as they get used, you don't end up with like a pillow that's like got empty spots or like all the stuffing has fallen to the bottom or whatever. Monique is loving the Millennium Falcon shape of the sticker. So once you've done that, you have your pillow insert that has now been completely stuffed, and you're just going to take needle and thread and then sew shut the little, hand stitch shut the little section that you stuffed it with. Okay, and now you have a pillow insert. So you have this little, that you can kind of see through the little holes in here. You have this fabricy, and if you saw the here, I can probably pull up the picture. Let me pull it. Here, we'll do this. this, and this. Okay, so here was the yes, I know I am sharing. Thank you for telling me. Okay, so it's just going to take a moment. But there's so much going on. I'm fuzzy. For some reason, it's not completely rendering. But you can see in my not completely rendered image here that this pillow that is inside this pillow, that is the pillow insert, okay? So once I had that done, I took my two pieces of this pillow, and now you just get to decide, how do you want to join it? Do you want to whip stitch it? What do you want to do? I decided that I was going to lay them on top of each other, and let me make myself big again so you can see me. Here we go. Okay, so I decided what I wanted to do was have, with the white piece on top and the colored piece on the bottom, I was going to slip stitch through the top stitches, okay, using the yellow. So if you look at the edge here, you see this is my top piece, this is my bottom piece, the white is my bottom piece, and you can see the little bit that goes yellow, white, yellow. That's because the yellow, this yellow is the top piece, this white is the bottom piece, this yellow is actually the the surface crochet or slip stitching to join. Okay, so what I did was I started, I think I started like right around like here on one of them, and I think right around like here on one of them, and I just started slip stitching the two pieces together. So the wrong sides were for together, and I started slip stitching with the white side facing me, so I get the loops on the white side in yellow to give it this fun little outline, right? And I stitched all the way around, and I stitched all the way around to like here. Okay, I probably could have stitched all the way to like here. You just have to figure out how much of your crochet can you stitch together and still be able to smush the pillow insert into it. So I stopped like up here, but I probably could have gone all the way to here or even here and still been able to get the pillow insert in it, because of course the crochet stretches, it moves, it, you know, it stretches. So and it's easier to join it when you don't have the pillow insert in it. So first you join as much as you can without the pillow insert, and then when you get to the point where you need to put the pillow insert in it, or else you're not going to be able to because you've joined too much, you toss that pillow insert in. Okay, so I had started like around here-ish somewhere, and then I went around and around and around until I had, you know, a little bit more than halfway done. And then I shoved the pillow insert in, got everything where it wanted to be, and then I just kept going. I didn't cut the yarn or anything. I just kept going with my surface crochet. Okay. You could, like I said, you can slip stitch, you can whatever, however you want to join the two pieces is what you're going to do to join the two pieces. I liked the idea of the surface crochet because I liked the idea of the little yellow outline on the white side. I just thought that would be really cool. And I also I like when I do that and it gets this little line in the middle, this kind of, you know, I don't know. I just like it. It's just something that makes me happy. And, you know, what's the point of crafting if not making people happy, right? So, so you do that and you get it closed up. Now, if you are making this for somebody, for a little kid or whatever, and you want to be able to wash it, and maybe, you know, it's, you can toss this whole thing in the wash. All right. You want to check the launder, the wash care of, you know, the care of your yarn. And basically you wash the pillow with the care of the yarn. Whatever the yarn care is, that's how you wash your pillow. So if the yarn that you use is machine washable, what you want to, you know, tell the person you're giving it to is maybe, you know, put it in like with the delicates. If you have to put it in the machine, wash it with the delicates. And you know, I tend to dry them on like a low heat. You can lay it out to dry, but really, can you imagine how long it's going to take for this to dry? All right, I told you I love Chewbacca, right? Well, when I was 5 for my birthday, I got a stuffed animal of a Chewbacca. Okay, he's about 2 feet tall, right? And I was 5, and I'm short to begin with, so he was, you know, pretty big for me. And one day, I decided he needed a bath, and so we had the big, like the really big pot that we would use to wash our dog in when she was still a puppy. And I don't know if we were about to wash the dog, if we just washed the dog. I don't even know. Hopefully we hadn't just washed the dog and I didn't do this and like we just washed the dog water. Or maybe I just like the pot was out there and I filled it up with hose. I have no idea. I don't remember. What I did though was I decided that my stuffed Chewbacca needed to be washed. He needed a bath. So I put him in and then ran in the house crying because he was too heavy for me to take out. And apparently it took forever for him to dry because you don't really want to put that in the dryer, right? Because like the fur will come out and all of that. So thankfully we lived in Southern California at the time and just like laid him out on the back porch so the sun would dry him. But yeah, they take a really long time to dry if you don't put them in the dryer. So if you're giving like a pillow or one of those, like I said, the ragdoll things where it's the two pieces that are the same shape kind of ragdolls that you just sew together, so it's like this style. If you're doing that and you're giving it to a kid and you think it might get dirty and need to be washed, you want to make sure that your yarn is machine washable and dryable. And the nice thing too, if you get a yarn that can be dried in the washing machine, in the dryer, dried in the washing machine, that can be dried in the dryer, is that will help it if it starts, if your knit or crochet starts to grow, when it goes in the dryer, it'll help it shrink a little bit, right? So I do it washed in the on like the delicate cycle. And the nice thing there is, of course, even if you can't put it in the dryer, it does the spin cycle, which gets a lot of the water out. You know, centrifugal force is a wonderful thing when it comes to getting water out of pillows or whatever. And then dry in the dryer based on whatever your yarn care is. And obviously this means that your fabric that you use for the pillow insert and the stuffing that you use for the pillow insert need to also have a machine wash and dry care. Any cotton, like a cotton fabric or a polyester fabric or a mix of those things, like those are wash and dry and totally fine. This is, like I said, I use muslin in here, which is cotton. I had already pre-washed and dried the muslin. If you have a fabric that you're making your insert with that will shrink when you wash it first. That way it's pre-shrunk. I will usually actually I will wash and dry my fabric in whatever the harshest conditions I think the person who is going to own it will wash and dry it in, to make sure that whatever is going to happen to that fabric has already happened to that fabric before I make anything out of it, so that if it's going to destroy the fabric, I haven't spent all the time making something with it. And so that if it's going to shrink the fabric, especially if it's something that has to be a certain size because you want it to fit in the pillow or you want it to fit on the person, it's already shrunk. So this fabric was pre-washed and dried, and I made the pillow insert. And the stuffing inside is just a polyester fiber fill kind of thing that totally can go in the wash and dry. So this whole thing can be put in the delicate cycle. It can be washed with the care method of the yarn, because the care method of the insert and the fabric of the insert and the polyfill and the stuffing inside the insert are an easier care method than the yarn is, you know. So there you go. Let's see. We have a few more comments. Monique loves the Ewoks and the cartoon. Yes. Glad you can make it in. Oh, I'm so glad you can make it too. Happy Wednesday to you too. All right, so yeah, so that is how I made the insert for this pillow, and you can do the same thing with any sort of shaped pillow that you need an insert for. And of course, if you don't have a sewing machine, you can still do that all by hand. I recommend doing, I always like doing the back stitch, which is the one where like on the one side it's like a little dashed line where everything is touching though, and so it's like stitch, 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 and on the bottom side there's more of a loop. So basically you come, I think there's a tutorial on Jessie at Home, and if not, there's a tutorial somewhere. You just you come up, and then you come down behind it, then you come up like an eighth to a quarter of an inch in front of that stitch and down where the last one ended, and then up an eighth to a quarter of an inch in front of that one, and then down where it ended. And so you're kind of like going like this through the fabric, making like the little touching dash line on the top and some overflowing stitches on the bottom. That is a great stitch for seaming things together. That is basically when you hand make clothing, when I hand stitch clothing, that is the stitch that I use and that I was taught to use because I do have a degree in sewing. I have a BFA in costume design and technology. So basically, that is the hand stitching clothing stitch. That's the main one that is used. When I seam shut the opening, because I've got the seams are like pushed inside, and I'm just putting the two folded edges together. That's when I do the whip stitch, which is just like you go through from front to back, wrap the yarn over the top, front to back, thread, wrap the thread over the top, front to back, and I usually do those about a 1/16 of an inch apart because you want that to be really nice and close together. 1/16 of an inch / about a millimeter. Okay, whatever you do, 1/16 of an inch, millimeter, whichever one makes sense to you, is about how far apart I do my whip stitches when I'm joining something. Depending on the fabric, sometimes it'll be as much as 1/8 of an inch, which is closer to 2 to 3, about 2 millimeters. Okay. So yeah, let's see. Oh, I got a few more comments. Monique is saying hello to Ola Joe, the crochet sailor. Hello. Susan says that it's cute. Thank you, Susan. So are you. And Ola Joe says hi to Monique. All right, so there we go. I want to show you all. I know a lot of you are newsletter. You get the newsletter already, but just in case you didn't, or you haven't had a chance to read it because it was really late this week, like I think it went out at 3 a.m. this morning. Maybe it was more like 2:30 a.m. this morning. All right, we're not going to talk about that. It's supposed to go out on Saturday. Like I said, it's been a week, dudes. Birthdays, anniversaries, college planning. Oh my goodness. Anywho, I want to show you some of the new stuff happening with the crochet and knit along and all of that sort of stuff. So let me go over to Crochet Foundry. Wrong button. Right button. Yay! All right, here we are on crochetfoundry.com. So if you want to see what's going on with the crochet along, you just click on that little blog. I clicked on it, and then you can hop on over to here where it says CAL, crochet along. Yes, we see it right there, but eventually that will slide off the screen because the new posts go on top. So we'll go over to crochet along, okay? And you can see here is Summer 25 Crochet Along, Knit Along, Outdoor Summer Fun. I'm about to write another Crochet Along post. Any additional posts I write for this Crochet Along will have a link to take you back to this main post. So whichever one comes up, as long as it's for this Crochet Along, you don't have to scroll to find the main one. You can check it out, see what it has to say. There'll be a link in there to pop you back to this main one. Because this main one, the text and stuff isn't really going to change, but at the bottom here, I have the links for the patterns. So as the patterns in the crochet and knit along are ready to be used, a lot of these are like, this is the star trivet or centerpiece pattern. And while the pattern was written in 2015, I gave it a lot of TLC. Okay. The stacking bread baskets, both of these patterns were made with a yarn that is now discontinued. Okay, so I did the math and everything for a new yarn with the star trivet or centerpiece, and the stacking bread baskets. I made a new sample. That photo isn't in the pattern, but it'll be in the post I'm putting up later this week on Crochet Foundry. But it was originally just one bread basket. I just wrote it in one size. And I was like, you know what, depending on what you want to put in your bread basket, I know it says bread basket, but even different breads, like if you want to make a bunch of rolls in there, you might want something bigger. If you're making a loaf of bread, some people make a loaf of bread that's like this, some people make a loaf of bread that's like this, right? So you might need different sizes. So I actually wrote the pattern, first of all, with a yarn that is no longer discontinued. And then I made like 4 different sizes, okay? I have made one sample of the 3rd size, and I'm thinking I'm going to try to see if I can get 1 or 2 more samples done, just so I can show you what it looks like stacked, because I think that'll be really cool and cute. And then I'll probably just bring it when we go camping and leave it there because it's nice. I don't know. We'll see. Anywho, so these are all of the patterns that are in the crochet along, and this is going to constantly get updated as we have more patterns for the summer crochet along. The summer crochet along goes all the way through the end of August, and I'll probably continue adding patterns up until the beginning to the middle of August. Okay, once we hit like the middle of August, there probably won't be any more patterns added on, because you need some time to finish, right? I mean, I don't expect everybody who wants to take part in the crochet along to make everything, but this is a summer fun, like outdoor summer fun crochet and knit along, so there's probably going to be at least some patterns that you like. And all you have to do with these is because we're on the blog. The nice thing is, on the blog, I can make them. If you get the magazine, you know that links in the magazine do not open in a new screen, because I can't make them do that. That's I use Adobe InDesign, and it doesn't have an option for those things for the PDFs that you can interacting PDFs. It doesn't have an option for opening in a new link in a new tab. So we have Vima says hi. It does not have an option for opening in a new tab, but on the blog, if anything that takes you off of the blog will open in a new tab. So I can click on like basic bunting, which was from like a couple weeks ago, and it'll take you to that. But you can see that my other tab, come on, where's my mouse? There it is. My other tab is still open over here, right? So we also have the star trivet or centerpiece, and these are patterns that are on Jessie at Home. So they are free online, and Jessie at Home is an ad-supported site. Because I own Jessie at Home and I'm logged in, it doesn't show me the ads because I don't get paid for seeing my own ads. Like sometimes some of them will show up, but most of the time the ads don't show up when I look at something. But the ads will probably show up when you look up at it, and that's why it's free, is because it's ad supported. So the advertisers are paying me, right? I'm getting paid from the ads. So this has the pattern, and the nice thing, like think about like the jump to recipe when you go to a recipe site, right? If you don't want to read the beginning stuff, you'll see just like below the like first or second photo is a table of contents. So this is going to tell you about, a few things about things. But then there's the supplies and stats, pattern notes, and then here is the pattern. So you can just click on straight to the pattern, right? And then if you're like, oh crap, I don't know which yarn or hook to use, that was in the supplies and stats, which is right above it. Okay, so I would actually click on supplies and stats so you know what yarn and what hook to use. But if you don't want to read all the stuff beforehand, then just click on supplies and stats, make sure you have the correct stuff, and then go on to the pattern. The stuff beforehand is a lot of like, especially since with the easy patterns, it's a lot of information about things that that people will need to know, okay, if they're first starting off. And it also talks about like what kind of things you need and why. So if you're going to replace things, you'll have a good idea about that. Here's the pattern, totally free. It tells you this is where, with your trivet, you move on to finishing. The other awesomeness thing on this is if you wanted it smaller, you just would have started sooner. If you want it larger, you keep on going into now what is the centerpiece continuation, okay? And you keep on going, and you stop here, or you stop beforehand if you want to. Finishing and get your printable PDF. You'll see I have additional information afterwards. So adjusting the sizing or shape, and I tell you how to make it even bigger, okay? The nice thing about this pattern is it's basically, you have a decrease on the valleys and an increase on the points, right? And so the number of stitches in between the valley and the point, it just increases by 2 every single round. So on each, it's a 5-pointed star, which makes 10 sides, right? Because there's 2 sides per each point. So on each side, you can see this one says 17 stitches on each side, and the next one is 19 stitches on each side, and the next one is 21 stitches on each side. And you can see in the directions, it says, you know, it starts off with a point where there's an increase, and then it says double crochet in each of the next 18 stitches. Skip 2, double crochet in each of the next 18 stitches, and then it's got the increase. So that skip 2 was the decrease. The round before that did 16 stitches. The round before that did 14. So you can see those numbers are, that's where your in numbers are increasing by 2. This makes it super simple for you to keep on going, to make this even bigger. It would be an adorable rug for a kid's room, and like an even thicker yarn, like a nice bulky yarn and a bigger hook. That would be so much fun for a rug. And another thing I often like to do with rugs is I'll hold together 2 pieces of like worsted weight yarn and use a bigger hook, whatever hook it needs to work, to make it even thicker and chunkier, but it also kind of makes it softer too, right? If you don't have the bulky yarn or whatever. A lot of us have an excess of, you know, acrylic worsted weight yarn, which is perfect for a rug because it's so washable, right? You can just toss them in the washer and dryer, no problem. And if you don't want it to take as long as it would take making it out of worsted weight, you just hold 2 together. Plus you can make fun colors by, like, you know, holding 2 different colors together. So that's it. It talks about cleaning. It talks about different ways you can use it. You know, you can make you can use it for the trivet or the centerpiece, or you can, you know, stiffen it with starch and make it a wall hanging, or you can make a really small one, maybe use a really small yarn, or just stop sooner to make like just a little gift wrapping topper, or, you know, hangs off a jar, hangs off a candle holder. You know, when you make a ball jar candle holder and you put the candle inside and you hang things off the ball, you tie the things around the top of the ball jar and hang them off. That would be really cute. Heck, you could make a mobile. That's not in here, but you totally could, right? And then we have facts and troubleshooting and variations. So there's a lot of information here in this free version of the pattern. And you got there, and I've been, you know, doing that with all of my patterns. You get there from this main crochet along, knit along post. Right now there are 3 crochet patterns and 1 knit pattern. The knit pattern is the knit version. Actually, the knit pattern for the bunting was written first. So the crochet pattern, the crochet basic bunting is the crochet version of the knit bunting. But you know, that's all right there. And the cool thing is, these patterns, when you go to the PDFs, all right, so here's get the printable PDF. Those PDFs are, obviously, if you don't like the ads, these are ad-free, okay? But because they're ad-free, when you see them for free on Jessie at Home with the ads, the advertisers are paying me, so I get paid. When they're over, you're getting the PDF, the ad-free PDF, then you get to pay for it. All right, so the ad-free, I have a piece of hair in my mouth. Sorry about that. All right, that was weird. Never fun, right? The ad-free PDFs are right here, and you can get just the ad-free PDF that's nice and printable. Or I also have, for $1 more, you can also get these bonus printables that have a crochet project planner and a little gift tag. Now, what's really cool is you'll see over here that at the Foundry Patreon paid members can get the pattern PDFs with the printables 100% off with this code, PatreonCal, okay? I think it's case sensitive, so make sure that you follow the case, capitals and lower cases. The code will only work for paid members. So it's set up so that only people who are on one of the paid tiers of Patreon will be able to use the code. It's only active for them. If you think that you're somebody who the code was supposed to work for and it didn't, then send me out an email. Right now, when I have to, whenever I add a new pattern, like I added the trivet in the centerpiece, the trivet in the bread basket today, this week, I then have to go into the Crochet Foundry Shopify and add them to the code. All right, so I might have forgotten to add them to the code. I also, when you become a Patreon paid member, I have to add you to the code. So I might have forgotten to add you to the code. I might have missed it. So if you think the code is supposed to work for you, for this particular pattern and for you, and it doesn't, please just send an email to support@crochetfoundry.com and I will figure it out and make it work. Most of the time I get things the way they're supposed to go, but I am only human. So is everybody else who, does anything to help out with Crochet Foundry. We're all human and sometimes we miss things. So just shoot an email over to support@crochetfoundry.com and we will figure it out. Okay. I want you guys to always be happy. So you can see the summer crochet along started in June. So it's June, July, and August. It's 3 months. And the lowest tier of Patreon is $5 a month. These patterns are $4.99. And if you get the bonus printables, they're $5.99. This code will work with the bonus printables. Okay, you can not get the bonus printables if you don't want to, but the code works with the bonus printables. So you could get that $5.99 value for 4 patterns so far for 3 months, and there's still more coming. All right, so even if you only got the $4.99 pattern, we're still talking, we've got 3 crochet patterns and 1 knit pattern over the course of 3 months, where you were only paying $5 a month for the lowest level of Patreon. I try to make sure that no matter what level you're on, the things that you get are higher value than what the cost of the Patreon membership was. So even at the lowest level, in addition to the free PDFs of these patterns and the rest of the patterns that will be coming out for the crochet along that isn't over yet, that not only can you get the PDFs for free between now and the end of August. So make sure if you are one of those Patreon members, make sure you have actually gone in and purchased the pattern with the code, and that it comes out, it gives you the 100% off. So it comes out to free. Make sure you do that before August is over, because once August is over, the code won't work for those patterns anymore. But if you buy it before August is over, then those patterns are in your Shopify purchases, and even a year down the road, it'll still be in your Shopify purchases. So even if you don't make it now, if you might want to make it later in the future, you might as well just grab every one that you can get for free. So if at some point later in the future you want to make them, all you have to do is go and download them from your Shopify, from your Crochet Foundry Shopify, right? And if a couple years down the line when you go to do that, you can't remember what to do, you can always just, again, support@crochetfoundry.com. That is the most common email I get. All right, so don't feel silly sending me an email saying, I can't figure out how to get the download of my pattern, because that is the most common email I get. I understand. Do not feel embarrassed don't feel embarrassed about any question you have to ask. If you need to know something in order to be able to get the most out of whatever out of Crochet Foundry, then please ask, all right? Because we want everybody to be happy. I'm going to pop back to this view here, okay? So there will be additional patterns coming to the Crochet and Knit Along, all right? And I know this is Crochet Foundry, so we are crochet themed, but I also know that a lot of us are bi-stitchual or pan-stitchual, you know, like I do knit and crochet and sewing. And yeah, I do it all, man. So I like to make sure that, you know, why not share these? I make sure that there's enough crochet to make it worth the value. Obviously, you want the crochet information, the crochet items in your crochet along. You want there to be enough of those to make it worth the value if you are a Patreon member who gets the PDFs for free, and to make it so that no matter what, it's a crochet along that's fun to join for all of you who crochet and who want to do the crochet aspect of it, since this is Crochet Foundry. But there's no harm in adding the other stuff in there too that I think some other people, some of the people within our community will also enjoy. It's you know, it's bonus additional information that other people, some of the people within the community will enjoy, and some won't. I do make sure that there's enough of the crochet that the people who crochet and that's all they want are going to get the value. Okay, that is always a goal here. And all of these patterns can be found online for free. So you do not need to spend any money. You don't need to be a Patreon member. You don't need to buy the PDF. You don't need to spend a penny unless you need to go buy yarn and hooks. But you don't need to spend a penny to participate in the crochet along, because this is all free. And you can even, did I not link the Discord? I need to add the Discord. So I do need to add some text in here for the Discord link. But we have our Discord community where you can come and you can talk about things there. You can share your photos of what you've done. You can ask questions of what you've done. All of that totally free. There is a specific channel in the Discord community for paid Patreon members, but you don't have to be in there to ask questions about the crochet along. Okay, you can ask questions about the crochet along in the regular crochet channel. Totally fine. And there's actually a crochet along, knit along channel that is one of the free channels. So you can post your pictures in there, ask your questions in there. You do not need to pay for anything. Okay, if you do, you get extra stuff, but you don't need to. I understand not everybody has the same budget. Trust me, I understand that. I got 2 kids going to college, and one of them is a really expensive college right now, and, you know, a house and all that other stuff. And I know that there's a lot of, you know, I'm in a very good place, but it's still not, it's not easy at all. I get that. So there's all of that. And then remember that in addition to that, another great place to ask questions is in our sit and stitches. So I just basically anything that's, I know there's like the little link for the sit and these things, the crochet along, the lunch with the Foundry, the sit and stitch, the Patreon socials, cows and Q's and A's. That basically explains what those things are. If you want to actually know when things are happening, like sit and stitches and stuff, I would go to community and click on the event calendar. Okay, so this is our event calendar, and you can see twice a month we have at the Foundry sit and stitches. Those are open to everybody, so go ahead and come. That was the one that last week I showed how to do this. That was open to everybody, completely free, Zoom live meeting. Okay, and it's a Zoom meeting, which means everybody can be on video. Everybody's on camera if they want to be. You can turn your camera off. And everybody has audio if they want to be. You can hit mute. All right. So it's while we were at the sit and stitch, you know, we did our regular sit and stitch thing and chatted and had a good time together. And I also I did this. This was what I was working on during the sit and stitch. So because, you know, I mean, Monique had specifically said, I really want to learn how to do that. So I was like, okay, I'll do it at the sit and stitch. Show up to the sit and stitch and you'll get to sit with me while I do this, you know? So if you guys tell me there's something you really want to learn how to do, then we'll make sure that, you know, it might be something I'll do during a sit and stitch so that you can see it. All right. Because there's not always some things I can explain. I can do really quickly for a live, for you know, a lunch with the Foundry. Some things I can kind of explain, something I can do blog posts, but sometimes being able to be there while I'm teaching it and you can ask questions, that is a really great place to be. And so when there are things like that, I love to do them at the sit and stitches. And Monique said, yes, thank you. You are welcome, my love. So the lives, oh, I think I went and I showed you this, but it was me on camera, not this on camera. So again, I was on the blog or on Crochet Foundry, it doesn't matter which. Either way, if you go to community and you click event calendar, it will pop up the calendar. And you always, of course, on Wednesdays, you see the lunch with the Foundry, but then you also see, like, this one says at the Foundry evening, sit and stitch. At the Foundry, those are our free ones. Okay, so that was last week. This is today, and we had a patron live social. So that was this morning, and it was for people who are Patreon patrons who are paid. Okay, so if you have a paid Patreon membership, you can come to this one. All right. And then next week will be another At the Foundry one, which is open to everybody. And the following week is another Patreon one. So there's 2 a month. The first and the third Wednesday every month is free for everyone. The second and the fourth is for the paid Patreon members. All right. So those are a great place to ask questions as well. And when you click on them, so let's see, here's next week at the Foundry afternoon sit and stitch. If you click on it, it will bring up a little page that will explain everything. You know, it gives you the ones that are open to everyone, gives you the link to get there. The ones that are open to Patreon patrons only gives you the link to where you'll find the link if you are a paid patron. Monique says that it is a welcoming, safe, and fun space. Thank you, Monique, because that is my goal always, to be a welcoming, safe, and fun space, and educational too. All right. So does anybody have any questions about anything? Always feel free, ask questions, give me suggestions of things that you would like to see, you know, things that you would like me to discuss during the lives, things that you would like maybe to have, like, hey, can we, the sit and stitches are not intended to be a class, but if people want to learn something while they're at the sit and stitch, I'm always happy to do that. You know, it kind of depends on if it's something that's going to take me like an hour and a half to teach, then we might have to come up with something else, because maybe not everybody coming to the sit and stitch wants to spend an hour and a half learning that. It's being a student learning something is a different feel than coming to a sit and stitch. So something like this was really easy to do within the confines of a sit and stitch, but other things might be a little more difficult. But it's like, how do I do this stitch? Totally. Okay. Hey, I'm having a problem. And the sit and stitch is also there for, hey, I'm having a problem with this pattern. Can you help me out? And while we would obviously prefer it be a Jessie at Home or Crochet Foundry pattern, it is not required. I do require that you are respectful to other people's copyrights, obviously. So, you know, I'm not going to be okay with you like sharing the pattern with us. But if you're stuck on a certain section, I have no problem with like a little screenshot of the section you're stuck on. It's as long as we are being respectful to other people's copyright and other people's, more important, other people's intellectual property. Okay. What's important to me is that we are being respectful and ethical with other people's intellectual property, which probably means that I'm a little bit more strict than what the law says. Because I've been on nearly every side of designer, maker, publisher, whatever, and I want to make sure that nobody is being taken advantage of and that nobody who is trying to make a living doing this is losing their income because we're, you know, giving away their pattern for free. You know, and again, even if it's a free pattern online, you can get, if it's a free pattern online, I'm like, dude, give me the link. I'll go over to their site. And now, you know, if they have ads, they're getting paid because I'm looking, That way, you know, I'm looking at their pattern. You're over there on your house looking at their pattern. I'm over here at my place looking at their pattern. And now they're getting paid for 2 people, and that's awesome. Okay? Their advertisers are paying them for 2 different people looking at their pattern instead of just one person. And I love that. I would much rather go to their link than have you share your screen at that point, because that way we're really making sure your designers are getting some income, right? So it's, you know, we figure things out. We do. It's all good. It's so much fun. All right, it is 12:55, and I at some point should head on upstairs and you know, tell my husband happy 20th anniversary. So, and we do have, see, I'm all spiffy today because we have, I don't want to hit the table behind me here. See, I have this, whoop, I hit the table behind me anyway. I have this cute little dress. You can't quite see it, but it's like this little wrappy dress, right? Woo! With a little bow. I'm sure it's probably looking all funky with all the polka dots on the screen. Normally I wouldn't wear this for a live, but I'm not a person who likes to like change 15 times during the day. So I'm like, all right, I have a date for my 20th anniversary tonight, so I'm just putting on my dress before I in the morning. I still need to like do something with my hair. I washed it, you know, but I still need to do something with it. So anyway, I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful day, and you know, send me emails at support@crochetfoundry.com if there's ever any things you would like to learn here. If there are any guests you would like to see on these lives, I'm going to work on starting with the fall, getting a lot more guests. Summer is kind of hard for getting guests, I've discovered. A lot of people are having like vacations and that sort of stuff. One that I'm really hoping I can get, y'all know Brochet? You should totally check out Brochet. He is so much fun. I absolutely love him. I've been following him, I think, on both the Crochet Foundry profile and the Jessie at Home profile on Instagram. And a couple of weeks ago, he started following Crochet Foundry back. So I'm going to have to like send him a little direct message, because when you follow each other, you can send each other messages and they actually like show up in like the easy to notice that you have a message box. Let us see. I would love to be able to get him on one of our lunch with the Foundries. That would be so awesome. And I would love to also have him as one of our artist, our fiber artist interviews in the magazine as well. So I'm gonna try to get a hold of him for that. I'm working on getting guests much more regularly starting in the fall, because I have discovered that it is really hard to get guests for the summer. Lots of people on vacation, lots of just, yeah. And it seems like everybody's around my age with kids around my kids' age. Like, so many people are dealing with people about to start freshman year of college right now. Like, so many people in this industry. There's like the group of people whose like grandkids are about to start college or whatever, you know. But then there's like those of us in this who are like, all of our kids are going off to college. Like, I was on the Mrs. DeVeter Furls a couple of weeks ago, and one of her kids is going off to college right now. I was talking to somebody else who's I can't remember who else I was just talking to, whose kids are going off to college. And yeah, it is, everybody's got college age kids right now, and I guess it's just like there was that pickup with like the crochet blogs, and I don't know, there was a lot of stuff. There's a chunk of people in like their late 50s, early 60s, who were like doing like all of the books and everything, and even goes up from like the late 50s up, right? And then there's another chunk of us in like our mid 40s to mid 50s who were kind of like the crochet bloggers when it all started. And some of those go even more like the mid 30s, but there's a good chunk of us in our mid 40s to mid 50s, and a good chunk of us with kids who are, I think what it really is, it was like all of the kids were at the age where it was like, I need to start something here. And you know, they were all like just starting school at the same time, and that was when you could like suddenly like start a blog or whatever. Yeah, we all kind of did it at the same time. Now I'm discovering everybody's kids are going to college, and it's really hard to talk to anybody right now because we're all like, oh, my head is going to explode. And I've been working this hard for this long, and all of my money is suddenly belonging to this university. You know, it's insane. But anyway, yeah. So I will just let me know anything you guys want to let me know. Email me over at support@crochetfoundry.com. Y'all are absolutely wonderful. Thank you for joining. And you know, hang out in the Discord whenever you want. I have that Discord channel up a lot. So if you go in there and you just say something, odds are I'm gonna notice it, unless you're in some sort of a time zone where it's like 3-4 o'clock in the morning where I am when you go in there. So feel free to come on into the Discord group and chat away, ask questions there, send me emails, whatever you want to do, have at it. I love you guys. I love the community aspect of this, and I will talk to y'all later. I should go pay attention to my husband since it's our 20th anniversary. I'll see ya. Bye-bye.